BBC staff backed Martine Croxall for stating women instead of pregnant people, as corporation is compelled to amend its own news coverage of the role. BBC colleagues have rallied behind veteran anchor Martine Croxall when she amended the word pregnant people to women live on air. The 56-year-old presenter was introducing a story on Britain's heatwave when the auto cue told her to urge pregnant individuals to take precautions. After quickly reading the phrase, she corrected it with an eyebrow lift, saying, Malcolm Mystery, who was participating in the research, advised the aged, pregnant individuals, women, and those with pre-existing health concerns need to take precautions. Her off-the-cuff correction soon went viral, gaining her significant plaudits from fans and high-profile personalities, including J.K. Rowling, who lauded her as her new fave BBC presenter. But the BBC's Executive Complaints Unit, ECU, found yesterday that Croxall infringed impartiality standards, ruling that her facial expression created a strong appearance of conveying a personal perspective on a difficult topic. Complaints from just 20 viewers were upheld, with the ECU stating, as giving the strong impression of expressing a personal view on a controversial matter, even if inadvertently, falls short of the BBC's expectations of its presenters and journalists in relation to impartiality. The ECU upheld the complaints. However, many BBC colleagues are claimed to have praised Croxall, stating she just rectified an obvious mistake, rather than making a political remark. A BBC source told the Daily Mail, "She's quite a character. She can be quite sparky. It's not uncommon for her to do stuff like that and be playful with her presentation. And she can be fairly harsh with folks on air. But it's a challenge we encounter in our industry when someone puts a bit of their personal energy on screen. The question is, why did she do that? It sounds like she is not being transphobic, but rather that she didn't like the awful writing in the script. There's a bit of a division about this. A lot of people were saying that isn't really fair on Martine, while some feel it was a breach of impartiality. It comes after the BBC were compelled to amend a piece they wrote on the matter because it was judged the first was too harsh on Croxall. The correction note read, this article originally said the ECU found that Martine Croxall's facial expression as she spoke expressed a controversial view about trans people and has been amended to make clear that they instead found that her expression gave the strong impression of expressing a personal view on a controversial matter. The article also wrongly paraphrased a ruling as referring to trans ideology and has been updated to appropriately refer to trans identity. According to individuals who spoke to the Daily Mail at the time, the presenter was noticeably shocked and furious when the auto cue initially displayed the words pregnant people. One senior BBC figure remarked, "Most people didn't need a Supreme Court verdict to teach them what a woman is. But based on what happened to Martine Croxall, it seems someone at the BBC might." The same insider stated that Croxall had the full backing of the BBC because she got it right, adding, she was stating a fact and rectifying a mistake. Ms. Croxall has backed women on TV before, and behind the scenes has stood up with female colleagues in their campaign for equal pay at the business. In April, the presenter was praised when she confronted a transgender activist who said the Supreme Court's finding that the concept of a woman is based on biological sex may still need clarification. The BBC veteran firmly told ex-Labour MSP candidate Heather Herbert that the landmark verdict made it clear sex is binary and immutable. Leicestershire-born Ms. Croxall repeatedly confronted Herbert when she requested for extra clarification on single-sex spaces, at one point reminding her, "The verdict is that woman denotes biological sex." Politicians were quick to attack the BBC's approach. Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch said, "Whoever reprimanded Martine Croxall has lost the plot. This is the latest in an ongoing string of accusations that shows the BBC is no longer behaving as a public service broadcaster. License fee payers want the truth, not force-fed ideological nonsense from a clique of agenda-driven campaigners. The Director General should get involved, and if he cannot safeguard his workers, then he should go, and the board should recruit someone who would impose common sense. Croxall deserves an apology, not a rebuke." Reform UK leader Nigel Farage also attacked the decision, calling it total double standards and insisting, "The newsreader should be commended, not scolded. Why should people continue to pay the license fee?" Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson attacked the BBC of grotesque bias, saying, "They have repressed debate over the trans problem. Anyone who has a TV is obligated to fund this organization. Tim Davie must either explain or quit. Croxall, who joined the BBC in 1991, has long been known as one of the corporation's most frank broadcasters. The scandal comes after Croxall and several female colleagues resolved a court dispute against the BBC over alleged wage discrimination, saying they lost roles after a rigged recruitment process.